I don't know if that worked or not. Hello, everyone. It is week 12. There is no Ricky this week. He's out gallivanting around, coming back from the LSU game. So hopefully you had a good time. We will have him back for Tuesday night's IDP advice show, or at least I hope so. Anyway, yeah, so I'm just trying to figure out the buttons here. Trying to get all this going. So bear with me. I'm learning on the fly here. So riding solo, maybe I'll try to throw my hands up and do some crazy Ricky stuff here and there just to make everybody feel like he's with us. So anyway, let's get into some of the news for today. And boy, we got some crazy stuff going on with linebackers. Feels like we're already in week 18 with all the crazy substitutions we got to make. Some big time starters coming out. Let's go with probably the biggest cluster right now is the Chicago Bears. Tremaine Edmonds goes to IR. What a good season he's been having. So to watch him get put out for at least 4 weeks, that's going to hurt. Going to hurt a lot. So got to find a replacement. They're talking he may be out up to 6 weeks. So bummer to see it, especially this late in the season. TJ Edwards and Noah Sewell are both out as well. So for at least this week, we're taking a shot on DeMarco Jackson. And I'm assuming Ruben Hippolyte are the next guys. So do we trust any of those? Probably DeMarco Jackson is probably the safest one I feel comfortable with. Hippolyte, we haven't seen him do a whole lot just yet. So maybe he has a good day as well. I expect a lot of running the ball against the Bears today. So there's some hand movements for everybody missing Ricky. Shout out Ricky. Give him a follow at RickyRod66 on the Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it now. You can follow me at Shawn8386. Who else are we missing today? Trevin Wallace and Christian Roseboom, both out for Carolina. Claude Charles played last week, expecting him to wear the green dot to be the main guy this week as well. Probably not trusting anybody else right now. Chris Barnes, maybe. I think Jacoby Weinman was added to the practice squad, but for now, Claude Charles is the only one I'm going to take a shot on. I don't think I'm in any deep enough leagues to trust anybody outside of him this week. Moving on to Ernest Jones. So, start of the week with a full practice, limited practice. Now we're down to did not practice on Friday. So, he is looking more likely to be out this week. Tyrese Knight would be the replacement, except he is still out with a concussion. That leaves Drake Thomas as the main guy in Seattle. It's looking like Chaz Surratt as the number 2 guy. Probably not playing Chaz. I know they did elevate 2 more linebackers from the practice squad this week. So I don't know if Ernest Jones has been officially declared out, but it's definitely looking like he is out. Tatum Bethune suffered that high ankle sprain last week. Curtis Robinson is the one who filled in for him. We talked about this a little bit on Tuesday night. We expect Curtis Robinson to come in and just eat tackles up. Not really worried about Nick Martin at this time. Now, if something changes, we can adjust from that. But as of right now, Curtis Robinson looks like next man up. And high ankle sprain, we're expecting Bethune to be out at least a couple weeks. Quay Walker is also out this week. Isaiah McDuffie is the next man up. I'm throwing him into my starting lineups. I've seen him have many a good game. I expect another one today, so no worries about him. Looking back and forth by phone, guys. I got to keep up with some other stuff here, too, as part of my normal duties. So if you see me wandering off, I'm actually looking up some things, so don't freak out. Alex Highsmith is doubtful. Fire up Nick Herbig again, especially with Mason Rudolph getting the start. I expect them to get plenty of shots to get some sacks this week. What else do I got here? Looks like Marlon Humphrey is back for you in cornerback required leagues. So fire him up as well. I think that just about covers all the big ones. Billy Bowman, cornerback required leagues, tore his Achilles in a walkthrough. I assume it's torn. He got immediately placed on IR. So if you were playing him, D. Alford is the next man up and is usually pretty solid for cornerbacks. Worth a shot there. Divine Diablo is activated, so no more J.D. Bertrand, and Ronnie Harrison probably goes back to the bench as well, unless they decide to slide him over in the slot, which I doubt. Nate Landman got a big 3-year extension. Good for him. I've been a little down on him, undeservedly so. He's earned my trust going forward. And there's one more. One more I'm looking to follow. So Marcelino McCurry Ball was activated for the Jets. If you remember at the start of the season, he was in that LB3 position. Right now it's Kiko Mauigoa, and I want to see if McCurry Ball takes over that role this week, or if it is Kiko's going forward. So not really a whole lot of IDP implications there. Just something I'm watching for my own curiosities. So, with enough rambling for me this week, or this morning, let's try to get into some of these questions. And it looks like we got Bird coming in first. Here's the tackles. 1.5 points for tackles, 0.75 assists, 4.5 sack, 5 for interception. Pretty good scoring there. Need to sit one of these guys. Carson Schweschinger, Nate Landman, Blake Cashman, Devin White, or Logan Wilson. So, looking at this list, I think Logan Wilson I trust the least here, just because still expecting some rotation there with the other Cowboys linebackers. DeMarvion Overshawn, Kenneth Murray, Shamar James. So, between all those guys, Logan Wilson is probably the biggest risk here. These other guys are doing fantastic right now. I'm probably never sitting Carson Schweschinger again, just based on how good he has played. We know what Cashman can do. Tackle machine. Nate Landman, again, just got the biggest extension. That's because he's been balling out. Deservedly so. Devin White's had some really good games. Big comeback year for him. So sitting Logan Wilson this week. Oh, I could also pick up Charles Overshawn or Oren Burks. I have a lot of starters on bye this week. I'm not going that route. Charles should be a good start, but I'm not picking him up for any of those guys just yet. Expect Logan Wilson to take over that. Now, Overshawn's pretty intriguing. A little worried that he'll be on a pitch count for a few weeks. So, but he would be the most likely, or probably the best option here of these three to pick up. Oren Burks can put up good numbers, good tackle numbers. Also, he's in a rotation, so that's going to be a little bit of a problem going forward. It'd be hard to trust that, will he play 40% of a game? Will he play 80%? Or will they just give up and leave the rookies in? That seems more likely. So, probably not Oren Burks. All right. Fantasy Breakout. Good morning, my friend. Hi, guys. Hope you're doing great. Pick 2 of your favorites for this week. Jamie Sherwood, Carson Schweschinger, Foye Oluokun, and Caden Ellis. I just talked about not setting Schweschinger, and I think I'm going to stick with that. I can't not start this guy. He is really balled out, even against some tough matchups. He's shown up. He's getting some turnovers. So I think he is definitely my top option here. Looking at the matchups for these guys, Foye has a really good matchup. Arizona's given up, the most points to linebackers over the last 3-4 weeks. I forget what I looked up, but they are that's a really good matchup. Now, Sherwood has been really solid. It's against the Ravens. We're expecting a lot of Derrick Henry here. Not a terrible option either. I think I will. Boy, let's put a Lewican in this week. Let's see what he can do. I feel good about that. If not, Sherwood's probably my next option here. Unfortunately, Caden Ellis is last on this list for me against the Saints, who aren't exactly known for running the ball a lot. They could get a sack. That'd be cool, but Schweschinger and Lewican slightly over Jamin Sherwood this week. One more for fantasy breakout here. With Hufanga on a bye, I picked up Nick Cross after he was dropped. Good deal. Great snag. Should I play any of these instead of Cross? Kinchins with Lake out. Watts Chin. Looking for high tackle floor. So for high tackle floor, it pretty much eliminates Kinchins because he is more big play dependent. The interceptions, that's where he usually makes, his money is on the bigger plays. Now he can have some good tackle days, but I don't feel super comfortable with him. Now Watts and Chin over Cross. Watts had a fantastic matchup last week. Gave us a dud. So I'm upset there with him. Jeremy Chin's been real solid this year. Not really spectacular, but he has a really good matchup against the Browns, who are starting another rookie, Shadur Sanders, today. So could he come up with an interception? Maybe some tackles. I expect the Browns to run a lot. Chin could eat up some tackles today. Do I like him over Cross, though? I don't. Against the Chiefs. It should be a good game. I think I'm leaving Cross in over these other guys. Chin is the other one I would consider, just because I expect a heavy tackle day and against a rookie quarterback who will take some shots deep, I think. Probably sticking with Cross, though. I think that's who I'm going with. So good luck, Fantasy Breakout. Thanks for swinging by. Checking us out. Let me do some hand movements for Ricky. Maybe slap a counter or two. I know you guys love that. So shout out, Ricky. We're thinking of you. All right, let's go to Third Eye. Do you see Jay Reed behind, I guess Jaden? Yep, behind Watson and Dobbs in pecking order. Is he wide receiver 3 on the team? Should I add Booty over him? Ooh, it seems to be the trouble every year with these Packers wide receivers. There's never a true number one that really takes off. No, Reed has shown in the past that he can eat up some targets. They're short. Watson's the deep guy, so that's his biggest appeal. He gets those bombs, maybe some touchdowns, and then usually gets hurt. Now Dobbs, he's another short range guy, touchdown dependent. I could see Reed taking back over, which I do not think he was activated today. I know he's designated to return. Not sure he's activated just yet. Do I trust Booty over him? He's had some good games too. Man, they're neck and neck for me. I think I would take Reed over Booty just because of, I think the chemistry with him and Jordan Love has been pretty solid. In PPR, I'm taking Reed. Other leagues, I'm going to take Booty over Reed. Oh, if I just read a little further, it is PPR. So, especially with Jacobs being out, if he's going to be out any length of time here, we could see more of the passing game, the screen games, which could be for Reed. So, yeah, I'll take Reed over these guys. Like I say, Watson's the deep guy. Dobbs, he'll have his big games and then he'll disappear. Where I think Reed will give you several solid PPR days. So that's my take. Let's go on to the next one. By Third Eye, we are doing well, or I am. I assume Ricky's doing well. LSU did win, probably on a long drive home, so he can at least be happy they won. Wasn't fantastic. It wasn't a blowout, but they did get the dub there. So I assume Ricky's doing well. I haven't heard otherwise. So start Devin White's Barrett Carter. So Barrett Carter started out really well, had some good games, high tackle games. Here lately, slacked off a good bit. I'm expecting a little bit of a bounce back here for Carter, but I'm not starting him over Devin White right now. I think Devin White is the play, is the veteran. He's got a solid starting position where Carter feels like he is more on some shaky ground here, maybe some thin ice. I do know Burks is rotating more with Knight. Could he take over Carter as well? It's possible. I do think they want Carter to succeed. That's why they pushed Logan Wilson out, started him over Wilson. And then with Knight, he's been in a bit of a rotation most of the year. So Carter's probably safer now. But for this week, I'm starting White. I just trust him a lot more. I like his matchup better against the Browns, especially with, like I say, Sanders getting his first start. You got Judkins there. Even Sampson could probably get some runs here. A lot of short passing attacks with the 2 tight end sets. So that basically means all the plays are coming up towards Devin White here. Whereas Carter, going against the Patriots, expecting the Patriots to run all over him. Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson. So it could be heavy tackle days for both. But I'm trusting White a little more here. I like the matchup better for him. And he has not been on a big slump the last few weeks. So good luck, Third Eye. Going with White. All right, Harry Brooks. I know Ricky would be excited. Harry's back. He's a big Harry Brooks fan. Good to have you back, my friend. All right, even though Mac Wilson is on IR, do you see Corey Simon maintaining green dot and 100% snap even with when after Wilson returns? Oof. I don't think so. I think Wilson gets his start and roll back unless Gannon is gone. He seems to be like the Gannon guy. So if they make a head coaching change, which I doubt, it could be different. But for now, I think it's Mac Wilson's job. As soon as he comes back, Simon, I haven't got to see him actually play. So football-wise, I don't really know how great he's been. I haven't looked at any of the grades or anything. But from IDP perspective, his tackle numbers have been pretty good. So, but that doesn't correlate. That doesn't mean he's a fantastic player. It just means he is really good at getting tackles. Usually, if you get a lot of tackles, it's because the team and or you are bad. So, doesn't really correlate there all the time. But no, I've not looked at the PFF grades this week for Simon, but expect Wilson to get his job back when he does return. So enjoy the Cody Simon ride while it lasts, but don't get attached just yet. All right. Also, it's generally not recommended, but due to injury to Buckner, I picked up Danielle Hunter and have been starting both he and Anderson. Yes. When you have 2 elites like Danielle Hunter, like Will Anderson, that are both putting up points, yeah, no problem starting them. I do the same thing on offense. If there are 2 top wide receivers on the team, like if you go back a couple of years ago to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans when they were both balling out with Baker before Godwin got hurt, I'm starting both those guys when they're both putting up numbers. You can do that on defense. You can do that with linebackers. Cornerbacks are always tricky, but yeah, anytime you have two studs that are both balling out, getting the pressures, getting the sacks, the metrics were both good. So even when Hunter was having his, down weeks where he wasn't getting the sacks, but he was getting the pressures and he was still giving you tackles, now we're seeing him hit home. He's popping off. Anderson's been pretty solid all season. So yeah, great pickup, great start. I hope that works out well for you for the rest of the year, which it's looking really good right now. So good job, Harry. All right. One more for Harry here. A bench spot. Extra DB. We got Gardner Johnson, Winfield in battle. Extra linebacker, Carter. Extra corner, Witherspoon. Do I need to drop any to add Simon? I'm not super attached to Devin Witherspoon just because he is a corner and you can find another corner to take that spot, and he's not in that slot role this year or this part of the season. With Nick Amenwari taking over that role with all the injuries they'd had outside, they had pretty much moved Witherspoon outside. So he's being taken out of some of the plays. Now he's still a solid 5 tackles, somewhere around there, maybe each week. Not seeing any big plays for him. So I would drop him first over these other guys. Battle has been solid all year. I'm not dropping him. Winfield's up and down, but his utilization is pretty good. He's worth holding on to. Carter could find his way again. Back to the high tackle numbers. I understand why you would consider dropping him, but he will have his role most likely for the rest of the season, where Simon's probably going to lose his. And then with Gardner Johnson, pretty good utilization. I know Kyler Gordon was not activated this week. He is coming back, but we expect Gardner Johnson to keep that role. So I feel safe holding on to him as well. Devin Witherspoon is a drop for me. And I would add Cody Simon. If I'm not starting him, I can at least stop my opponents from starting him. And I love that defensive play to do that. The defensive play in the defensive league, I love it. So big fan of that. I would definitely do it. So thanks, Ari, for the question. Thanks for tagging along for all this time. All right, J.K. Kelly. 2 questions here. Looks like Jonathan Grenard, Josh Hines Allen. So Greenard here is questionable. He did have a couple limited practices here at the end of the week. It's a pretty decent matchup. Let me double check. Yeah, I haven't seen that he's out for sure. But if I'm not mistaken, he is expected to be out. I'll try to keep an eye on some of these inactives when they come out, but I want to say he was leaning towards not playing. So Hines Allen for me on this one. With his matchup going against Arizona, Jacoby Brissett can be sacked. He is not elusive. You know what I mean? So I'm probably taking Hines Allen on this one. Keep an eye on Greenard, who I do believe will be out today. So with that, Hines Allen for sure. All right, pick 2. Amani Hooker, Christian Gonzalez, and Tony Adams. So right off the bat, I want to bench Christian Gonzalez just because he is the corner. Now, will the Bengals pass a lot today? I'm sure they will have to. Don't know if how many times Flacco will target towards Gonzalez if he locks up T. Higgins. So we could see a handful of tackles today for Christian Gonzalez. I don't think anybody's expecting the Bengals to have the lead and just run the ball out today, so I could see why you're asking this question. Now, the Titans have a really good matchup against Seattle, or safety-wise. Hooker has a decent matchup here. Mm, that offense has been moving the ball pretty well. Now, Tony Adams has been putting up some numbers, nothing major, but solid numbers. But against Baltimore, hmm, I can see why you have this question. This is a good one. I'm going to start Hooker for sure. And I think I'm actually going to start Gonzalez over Adams. I don't normally like to do so, but I feel like Gonzalez going against T. Higgins and with no Jamar Chase, Flacco's going to have to target him. Hmm. If you're not worried that Gonzalez might not get as many, he could get an interception too, though. All right, let's call it. Let's say Christian Gonzalez gets the interception of Joe Flacco, and him and Hooker are who I'm picking over Tony Adams this week. So, yep, let's roll with Gonzalez. Not feeling Adams today against the Ravens. Christian Gonzalez is the guy for me here this week. So, good luck, Kelly. J.K. Kelly again. Also, Edgerrin Cooper or Nick Bolton. Oh boy, two guys that have been underperforming all season long. We kind of expect this from Nick Bolton these days. He'll get a few games that are pretty decent. Edgerrin Cooper, though, so many people had him high on their list this year. Top 5, top 10. And he was drafted as such, and he is not giving us those numbers here. So probably a little bit of defensive scheme adjustment here where he's not in position to get some sacks, make some of those big plays this year. So who do I like better this week? Cooper against the Vikings or Bolden against the Colts? Jonathan Taylor's been running well, so with Isaiah McDuffie back or taking over for Quay Walker, he's a tackle machine himself. So I could see him eating up most of the tackles here where Cooper can't get enough to really give us what we need for this week. So I think I'm actually going to lean Nick Bolton here. I'm not super proud of saying that or happy that I'm saying that. But I think at this point, I'm taking Nick Bolton over Edgerrin Cooper. Going against Jonathan Taylor this week. And then you got Daniel Jones on the ground. So I could see a scenario where the Vikings struggle, run the ball, and have to throw a lot. So not enough tackle opportunities coming Edgerrin Cooper's way. So I'm picking Nick Bolton. Good luck. Skywalker. Good to see Skywalker back. Jalen Reed had a great game. 9 tackles, 3 assists, 1 fumble. Thursday night, do you see him holding on to his spot once Petrie returns? Even Petrie didn't have a good tackle game. So I believe it was Miles Bryant that actually took over the Petrie role, that slot role. I would love to see Jalen Reed play that strong safety, that box safety role. I'm hoping this really showed the Texans what he can do, that he's ready. And with that big win over the Bills, I would like to see Reed as in that safety role and Miles Bryant, or not Miles Bryant, Jalen Petrie in the slot role there. So I do think we see more Reed going forward, and I want to keep an eye on this, especially next week, since they've already played this week. Definitely something to be excited for. This could be a good pickup for us this late in the season at safety, or a viable option coming into the playoffs here. Or we're all kind of trying to make our last ditch effort here to make the playoffs. If you haven't already locked it up, if you're still on the bubble, somebody like Reed could be a late pickup that really tips your team over the edge there into the playoffs. So yeah, I'm excited for Jalen Reed, and I hope that does continue. All right, J.K. Kelly again. Laporta is on IR. Gadsden is on bye. Got a deep league dart through for a tight end this week. Deep league, if Mike Gesicki is out there, he was just activated. And with Jamar Chase being out, and with Christian Gonzalez maybe locking down Higgins, we could see some more two tight end sets with both him and Fant, or maybe even Gesicki playing more of the slot role where Yoshabas is outside or something. So I could see Mike Gesicki being a guy to go pick up if you are truly desperate. Boy, outside of him, that was the first one that came to my mind. I don't know anybody else that's just sitting out there waiting to just go off. I would, Gunnar Helm for the Titans maybe. If he's available, he's getting some looks each week. They just lost several wide receivers last week. Ridley's on IR. I think he's done for the year. Io Manor is out. I think DK is still there. So Gunnar Helm might be somebody. I know him and Chig have both been somewhat productive for the Titans. That's not the greatest offense to want to get anybody off of, let alone tight end. But Gesicki and Gunnar Helm are probably the first two I could think of. So sorry I don't have much more for you there. Good luck. Maybe one of those pans out if they're available. Maybe you have somebody better. But those were the top two options that came to my mind. Moving on, Dale Cooper. Jacksonville defense or New Orleans defense? So we'll answer this one first. I think I like the Saints this week on defense. That Falcons team, well, I don't know. They still have a running game. Let me think about this for a minute. With Michael Penix out, Drake London out, what is Kirk Cousins going to give us? Probably not a lot from Kirk Cousins. Actually, probably just see a lot of Bijan and Algier this week. So could be a lot of ground game here, a lot of clock chewing. Maybe they get the lead and grind it out. Maybe not a whole lot of points in this game. And then Jacksonville and Arizona. Jacoby Brissett's been moving this team, and I'm expecting a big day from McBride actually this week. So I can see him getting a touchdown or two. Jacksonville lost Trayvon Walker as well, so there goes some of your sack potential. The secondary is a little questionable. I think Jordan Lewis and Jerry Jones are both questionable right now. I'm leaning the Saints here with that banged up offense of Atlanta. I think with Chase Young, Granderson, Jordan, those guys, even Jamar Davis didn't give you some sacks this week. Kirk Cousins is not mobile anymore. So he's, can't move, bit of a standing target if they can't run the ball. And I think the Saints have been pretty decent at stopping the run this year. They could pull this one off. Let's go with the Saints with that first part of the question. And for the second part, Aaron Jones or Emmanuel Wilson? Both could have big days, actually. Aaron Jones against the Packers, slight revenge game here, or Emmanuel Wilson coming out with something to prove. Josh Jacobs is inactive today. He is out for sure. And there are some more inactives coming through. Just running through these real quick. Kenneth Walker is active. Not seeing much on defense here. Harold Landry is active. Should be able to get a sack today. That's probably about all he'll get. I think I'm taking Emmanuel Wilson. I think he gets the full starter share here. Aaron Jones has been tied in with Jordan Mason. They are getting Ron Kelly back from IR, so he could have a big game too. I'm going to take Wilson just because Aaron Jones, every time I start him, he finds a way to get hurt and ruins my day. So trying to be unbiased here against him for that. Emmanuel Wilson, for me, I think he has a pretty good game. So next, we have Bruce Warren Great content. That's for you, Ricky. He's talking about you. We appreciate the kind words. Left Will Anderson on the bench. Oh no. These Thursday night games have ruined so many people. Starting Aiden Hutchinson, Brian Branch, Roquan, Cedric Gray. I assume that's Edrin Cooper. 10-1. All right. Half point PPR, tackle heavy. Should be fine. Yeah, Brian Branch, Hutchinson, Roquan, Cedric Gray's tackle machine, Edrin Cooper. Yeah, I talked him down just a little bit earlier. He can still have a decent day. I think you'll be okay, but keep an eye on those Thursday night games. Hopefully, we won't miss out on anybody again. So just remember, Thanksgiving's coming up. There's going to be several Thursday games. Probably, I think we have Black Friday game this year also. So pay attention to your lineups for sure this coming week, guys. So good luck out there. Jaylen Warren or Tootin? Tootin. I'm taking Jaylen Warren on this one. I know it's PPR. Tootin. He is definitely splitting some time with ETN. They do have a good matchup, though, against the Cardinals. Jaylen Warren's coming back in. Aaron Rodgers is out. Going against the Bears, who have not been the greatest at stopping the run lately either. Both are in a timeshare here. Yeah, I'm sticking with Warren. Tootin's not a terrible option, but I like Warren this week. Mason Rudolph, check downs. I know Gainwell had a big game last week with all the receptions, but I think Warren coming back, I think he's healthy enough. Sticking with Warren for now. So good luck. Speaking of Hutchinsons, here's Kevin. Welcome back. Need help deciding on last linebacker spot, both on Monday night. Oh no. Curtis Robinson, Claude Chairless. Wondering which will have the better snap share. Chairless has the better matchup. As of right now, they both should have about the same snap share. There is nobody else for Carolina right now as far as that 100% role. So we have one full-time role and then usually that 70-80 range for that second guy. And that's probably going to be a rotation for that second spot. So Chairless has a full-time role locked up. Curtis Robinson looks like he has a full-time role locked up as well. I expect both these guys to do well. I'm probably leaning... Oh boy, this is tough. They both have good matchups. We got Christian McCaffrey's revenge game going against Carolina here. And then we have Rico Dowdle, who's been running the ball a lot. So a lot of tackle opportunities here. Carolina has a little better defensive line, especially the interior. Could push some tackles out. This is a real toss-up here. I think I'm going to go with Chairless here. But I think you'll do fine with either one of these guys. So plenty of time to think about it. If something, catches your eye, changes your mind here. Curtis Robinson, I expect to have a good game too. But Chairless with the, Christian McCaffrey, I'm calling it the revenge game, back in Carolina here. So if you're a little worried about Nick Barton, I personally am not. Definitely stick with Chairless. I do like his matchup slightly better, but expect both these guys to have a really good game. So I don't feel like you're going to do terrible either way here. But Chairless for me as well. Good luck, Kevin. All right, Brandt 71. Need 3 linebackers. 15 points for sacks. Nice. 3 points for tackles. Not as nice. Actually, that's not bad either. So 5 tackles equals a sack. We have Eric Wilson, Barrett Carter, Cody Simon, Drake Thomas, Carson Schweschiger. Considered a bad matchup against Tennessee. Bad matchup against Tennessee would be Drake Thomas. I guess is who we're worried about here. So need 3 of these guys. Schlesinger is the automatic start for me. I am not benching him. Drake Thomas, I can understand if you're worried. He had a down week last week as well. I like Eric Wilson. Should be the Eric Wilson revenge game against the Packers here too. So Packers are going to probably run the ball quite a bit, short range passing. Eric Wilson is used on the edge at times to blitz as well. So there's your sack upside. Now, Barrett Carter hasn't been the greatest as of late. Drake Thomas is probably the full-time linebacker in Seattle this week. So that has a lot of appeal as well. Again, bad matchup against Tennessee, so I do get that. Then Cody Simon against the Jaguars. So Schlesinger's the automatic for me. I like the upside of Wilson as my number 2 here. And I'm taking Cody Simon as my next guy here. Just because of the low snap potential by Tennessee knocks out Drake Thomas for me. Who kind of disappears in games, even, in some of these plus matchups. Barrett Carter with the issues the Bengals are having and potential threat of rotations there. I am going to bench Carter again this week. Benched him last week. I'm suggesting again this week. So Schlesinger, Wilson, and Simon. Good luck. Which 2 linebackers to pick up for the Bears? Talked about just for a second earlier. DeMarco Jackson is the guy I think will be the green dot. We'll get the biggest, or will have the bigger role there, and I expect him to rack up more tackles. Ruben Hippolyte would be the second choice. He is the rookie. Maybe he rotates out a little bit. I doubt it. I expect those 2 to actually be full-time this week. But I am trusting DeMarco Jackson between those 2. He's the one I feel the most comfortable with. So, good luck. Kevin, Austin Booker, K'Lavon Chaisson. I am not super excited with, or super happy with Chaisson's productivity as of late. Mason Rudolph back there, he might be a little more elusive than Aaron Rodgers. Well, I know he'd be more elusive than Aaron Rodgers would be. I like the appeal of Austin Booker here. Just from tackles, I think Booker would have the better floor with Chaisson going against the Bengals and that terrible offensive line. Could get you the sack, so slightly Booker over Chaisson here, just because of the safer floor. I think you're definitely going to get the tackles. Chaisson could give you the bigger play, and I believe if I go back up here, you said big 3 scoring. I think I'm still taking Booker. Taking Booker this week. I think he does get a sack against Rudolph as well. So good luck there. I think you turn out about fine either way here. I feel they are pretty even, but Booker for the floor, probably Chaisson for the ceiling. So good luck, Kevin. Fresh Prince. Good morning, gents. 5 points for tackle, 2.5 assists, 10 for a sack or an interception. Nice scoring here. 2 linebackers, please. We got Barrett Carter, Cody Simon, D Winners, sweet D Winners. I like it. Curtis Robinson. Really good options here. I know Winners and Robinson are on the same team. That does not mean they are bad plays. I'm benching Carter for sure. I believe I've been negative enough on him. So, comes down to the 2 49ers, Cody Simon. So, I do like Cody Simon again this week. And I think I'm taking Curtis Robinson over D Winners. Just because I think Winners will have a little more responsibility where Robinson can just read and react and go chase the ball. So, give me Robinson and Simon this week. I like D Winners too. but I like Simon just a little bit better than Winters. And if Ricky was here, he would tell you I am a big D Winters supporter. So if uh, if you feel differently, D Winters is my third guy for sure. Carter's out of it for me. So if you feel safer with Winters, I would understand that. But from what we've seen last week, Robinson and that role rotating Bethune went off, was getting nothing but double digit tackles every week. I think Robinson does the same thing. So Robinson, Simon, Winters third, Carter's definitely out. Good luck, Fresh Prince. Oh, one more. Same scoring. Tyke Smith, Trayvon Merry, Cam Curl, Malachi Starks. Big thanks as always. We appreciate having you here. Fresh Prince. Malachi Starks is the easiest one for me to bench of these guys. Trayvon Merrick, every time I talk about benching him, he goes off, has good games, high tackle games. With Lake being out, Curl has a lot more appeal as well. And Tyke playing against the Rams, who have been giving up some points to safeties as well. So as far as what breaks the tie between these three, oh boy. Tyke's, like if he's not still the leading tackler at defensive back, he's in the top three. I know Merrick is up there. Actually, all these guys are up there now that I think about it. Boy, this is a tough one. Every time I think I have it figured out, something pops in my head here to let me know it's not as clear. But Malachi Starks is for sure the odd man out. I think with Lake out, it's more tackle opportunities for Curl. So give me Curl. And boy, CMC running around makes Merrick a little more appealing than Tyke this week. But again, it's the Rams and the Bucks should be a fun game. A lot of Tyke Smith. Oh boy. Curl and Tyke are my final answer. But I expect a good game from Trayvon Merrick as well. So, yeah, I'm sticking with it. Yeah, final answer, Curl and Smith. Good luck, Fresh Prince. It's a good group of safeties you have there, and I understand why you were having a hard time picking one. All right, third eye again. Start. CJ Gardner-Johnson, Nick Amenwari today. Do you think with linebackers out, CJ gets more in-box role? He already has a really strong box role in that slot where he's actually playing a lot of snaps, a high percentage. So I feel good with sticking with Gardner Johnson. As mentioned earlier, with the Titans matchup, Titans been awful on offense. There could be a scenario where they just don't have enough snaps for these guys to produce this week. So a little worried about Amenwari being able to produce some high tackles this week or, enough snaps. So give me Gardner Johnson over Amenwari this week. Good luck out there, third eye. All right, Maine 7320. TJ Watt, Aiden Hutchinson, or Sweat. So I am curious. Let me scroll down just a little bit. Which Sweat we're talking about here? Is it Montez or is it Josh? Not seeing any more here. So, without fully knowing this one, I do like Aiden Hutchinson. I'm probably starting him over any of the Sweats. Yeah, Hutchinson for sure. And then TJ Watt has not been Montez Sweat. All right, thank you for that. Montez Sweat has been on a run here. He doesn't give me a lot of. I got you. Doesn't give a lot of tackles though. He's been solid though. I'll give you that. TJ Watt against that terrible Cincinnati Bengals line. I'm still benching Montez this week. Yeah, I think TJ Watt goes off this week. Montez or Aiden Hutchinson against the Giants. Jameis Winston. Not the most elusive guy out there. So yeah, I'm bitching Montez, but this is a good group you got, Maine. Good luck, man. Solo show gets yeah. I don't feel pressured at all. All right, Giants have in Latin America that is listed as Flanagan Fowls. I'm guessing. So they put this arrow here. Oh, I'm hitting buttons on my end that you guys can't see, and it's funny my mishaps over here that you are not seeing. Basically, I have to scroll around, and I'm stuck. There we go. All right, so yeah. Sorry, guys. I got buttons that are in the way of other buttons, and that was throwing me off. So I think I've gotten past it. Yeah, Flanagan Fowles is defensive back on sleeper. That's pretty good cheat code there. Uh, Looks like everybody in the chat here has got you covered. So yeah, cheat code for sure. I'm starting Flanagan Fowles this week, probably most weeks, especially if he has DB eligibility. Cheat codes, to get him this late in the season, fantastic. So awesome work there. All right. Nick Herbig with Alex Highsmith out. Absolutely. Against the Bengals and that offensive line that is absolute trash for sure. Nick Herbig, his pass rushing metrics, his win rate is one of the best in the league. He would be a starter on most teams if he wasn't stuck behind Highsmith and TJ Watts. So if they don't lock him up soon, this dude's going to go make a ton of money on another team. So yeah, for sure, starting Herbig anytime any of those guys are out. All right. Scroll through some of these comments here. Looks like you guys are getting all kinds of help. Appreciate everybody throwing in their knowledge as well out here. Any other helpful suggestions? I love this group of guys we got out here. So thankful for everybody in the comments. All right. Mal Gibson, Antoine Winfield, Cameron Kitchens, Chamari Connor, Cooper DeJean, pick 3. And most of the time, we kick out the cornerbacks and stick with the safeties. And with Dallas, with Cooper DeJean going against Dallas and the passing attack that they have, it'd be hard to sit Cooper DeJean this week. So I understand this question completely. I understand why you're asking it. I'm not sitting Chamari Connor. So Chamari Connor is for sure my top starter here. Kitchens had the interceptions. He can get some tackles. This should be a fun game between the Rams and Bucks. So we could see Kitchens pop off a little bit this week. I don't trust him. If I'm being honest, he's the guy I picked to get the most interceptions this year. I do not expect him to get a lot of tackles this year. So I am taking Kitchens out. It's Chamari Connor, Cooper DeJean, Antoine Winfield for me. But I understand the question. It was a good one. This is a good group you have here. So good luck, Mal Gibson. All right. Add Flanagan Fowles and drop Landman, Devin White, Jamin Sherwood, D Winners. Dual designation for Danilo. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sleeper. Yeah. He's linebacker or edge. Barrett Carter. Get Carter. Current dude. Wow. We got a lot going on here. To add Fowles, I would drop Carter out of these. Or Barrett Carter. Or get Carter. Yeah. Yeah, I would drop Carter for Flanagan Fowles with his with your ability, because he gives you another starting linebacker at defensive back. So unless you only have one defensive back, which it looks like you might, Taki Smith's really good though, so don't drop him. I would drop Carter because you have a slew of fantastic linebackers. Daniel Hunter, with his scoring and the sacks he gets, quarterback hits, and all that fun stuff, I'm sure he's hanging right there with these other guys. So drop Carter for Flanagan fouls. That's what I would do. All right, scroll a little more. Start one. And I'm trying to start one linebacker and 3 IDB flex. Is that out of this group? I'm guessing. Start one linebacker and 3 flex. All right, so I'm starting Landman, Devin White. I assume you already started Daniil Hunter. I'm not sure. Should have. If that's the case. If not, then give me the first 4 linebackers there. All right, let's move on to BJG. Hi, thanks for being here every Sunday. Appreciate you tuning in. We love it. Of course, we don't have a show without you guys out here, so definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. Need to play 2 linebackers. Cody Simon, Curtis Robinson, Barrett Carter, Drake Thomas, balance scoring. Yeah, with I think all the talks earlier, I think we know I'm off Barrett Carter again this week. Drake Thomas has the concerns of playing against the Titans, who are awful. So when bad teams or bad offenses, I'll say that, bad offenses go against good defenses like the Seahawks, we usually end up with less snaps for that opposing defense. So Drake Thomas may not get enough snaps to give us a really good game. That's why I'm knocking him out of here. Cody Simon, Curtis Robinson, I trust those 2 the most. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yep, I'm going with those 2. Barrett Carter, it's in a slump. I'm going to need to see him spike back up. Oren Burks is running around stealing all the tackles right now. So, yep, Simon Robinson. Good luck. Appreciate you tuning in again. Need 1 defensive back. Could play Mustafa, Duggar, Evan Williams, or pick up Jair Brown. Against the Panthers, I like Mustafa a lot, actually. Evan Williams, I feel, is a little more big play dependent. Not steady enough. Kyle Duggar is definitely big play dependent. Without that touchdown, he's not giving us a lot of tackles. So without that big play, the big score, we're not seeing enough for him to confidently start him. So give me Mustafa here. Would I pick up Jair Brown? Probably not. I think I'm sticking with Mustafa here. If you do decide to drop somebody, unless Duggar can score a touchdown every week or get the interceptions every week, I might drop him for Brown, but I'm probably just sticking with what I have here. So thanks for tuning in. Good luck. PPR 3-8. Oh no. 2 games out of playoff contention. Well, that's the good news here. Need a dub. Upside. All right, we have Jordan Mason, Andre Yoshavas, and my guy Kyle Manangai. Has to be full Leroy Jenkins and Yoshavas. Oh boy. So how many do I need here? Do I need 1? Am I picking a flex? Don't really know here. Let me read it again. Has to be full of Leroy Jenkins. Or we just need to have an upside. I guess I'm just picking one of these guys. Oh boy. Looks like Aaron Jones is for a full go. Jordan Mason has really... Okay, start 1. Looks like, man, Mason has really fell off here lately, so it's hard to trust him. Yoshavas could really go off this week, and they almost need him to. Manangai is in a rotation against the Steelers defense. Oh boy. I think I'm going with Yoshabas this week. Surely he gets a few catches, right? PPR. When one guy is in a rotation with Swift, I don't fully trust him. So, boy, good luck out there. Mandatory username. I love it. So, yeah, Yoshabas for the win. I'll see you next week at 4-8. Good luck to you. And I believe there's a super chat down here. I'm gonna have to give me just a second. Pop this one up. Yeah, I should have said something earlier, guys. I figured most of you know by now. Do the super chat. We'll jump you to the front of the list. Get your question in. Eric Wilson or Edgerrin Cooper. Other starters are Blake Cashman, Cedric Gray. All right, so Cashman and Gray are definitely my starters here. Eric Wilson or Edgerrin Cooper. Half point assisted, 1 solo, 7 for a sack, 2 for tackle for a loss. Yeah, I understand why you have this question. Now, Edgerrin Cooper has not been the man we thought he would be this year, or a lot of us did. And we do attribute a lot of that to the addition of Micah Parsons. So with Parsons being there, he's not needed. Cooper hasn't been needed to come off the edge to get us any sacks. I think he has half a sack this year. He has forced a few fumbles. We're not getting any interceptions. You know, last year he had 3.5 sacks. The tackles were solid. So that has been a problem. And then Eric Wilson, even though he's playing that second role, you know, where Cashman is the full-time goal, he has gotten us a few sacks. I think a couple games with multiple sacks. Forced fumbles, we've had several of those, and the tackle floor is about the same for these guys. So if you're getting points for, you know, the quarterback hits or tackles for a loss for sure, the sack upside, I'm taking Eric Wilson between these two. And I would not thought I would say that back in the offseason. But I do believe Eric Wilson with the solid tackle floor. The tackle floor is about the same for both these guys. So with Eric Wilson coming off the edge, forcing some of these fumbles, getting these sacks, I feel Eric Wilson is the right option here. And I feel comfortable starting him over Edgerrin Cooper. So good luck. Appreciate the super chat. Anybody else? I'm actually over time right now, so might answer just a couple more here if I can find where I was in this list. Man, you guys have been awesome today, so thank everyone for being here. I'm gonna hit just a couple more, and then I'm going to call it. So sorry, I'm not able to get to everybody here. Work League, Mr. Robbie Kamikaze. Interesting name. Starting 2 IDP, Blake Cashman, Caden Ellis. Oh, Jordan Brooks is on a bye. All right. Yeah, man, Jordan Brooks, what a year he has been having. Blake Cashman's a solid starter. Hopefully Ellis gets a sack here. Hopefully. That's about all we can hope for. With Devon Diablo coming back, may lose out on a little bit of tackles here. So we need that sack for Ellis. Good luck. Brad Gilbert's. Good country name, sounds like. 2 wide receivers. We got Yoshavas, Devon Bailey, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, Josh Downs, Jalen Coker. Oh, boy. There is a lot of not good going on in that. Probably Yoshavas with Jamar Chase out, and then probably Josh Downs would be the other one. I feel like Indianapolis is going to have to throw against the Chiefs to hang on here, so probably starting those two. And then at defensive end, we have Phillips, Nolan, Yaya, and Himbig. So yeah, Herbig for sure, and then Phillips would be my next guy there. So good luck. Oh, just in time for some spam to hit us. That's awesome. Let's look at just a few more here. Third eye, who's the linebacker to own in Green Bay for rest of season? Quay Walker was dropped, though he has not scored great lately. Hold Barrett Carter or drop him. Yeah, Barrett Carter has not scored very good lately either. One of these guys is still playing for a contract, so Quay Walker over Barrett Carter for me rest of the season. I haven't looked at how the matchups play out the rest of the year, but I do feel like Quay Walker gives you better potential here, especially with the Bengals are so weird right now with the way things are going on and some of the rotations here. You know, if the team is this bad, they really need to not have Oren Burks in there. They don't have a lot to play for. I guess in their mind they can still win this division. I guess mathematically they can, but they do not look like a team that could. So it's Quay Walker for me. If you can add Skywalker again, if you can add one player for bench spot, most potential going forward, Jalen Reed or Cody Simon. Reed probably has a better chance of staying on the rest of the year. Cody Simon is the replacement for Mac Wilson right now. So there's probably more risk in keeping Simon. However, Simon's probably going to give you more consistent numbers going forward, where Jalen Reed might be more up and down being the defensive back. So for my bench spot, I do like what Jalen Reed did, and I think it's enough for him to keep a starting role. This is a bench spot anyway. I would hold on to Reed just to see what happens. We do know Mac Wilson is coming back at some point, and Cody Simon will go back to the bench. So that's probably within just the next couple of weeks. So yeah, I would take a shot on holding on to Reed here. More spam. Let's do Bruce Warren, Edgerrin Cooper, or Jalen Phillips this week and rest of season. Oh boy. This week, Jalen Phillips really fits that Vic Fangio defense, and he has that familiarity with their time in Miami. Doesn't give me a lot of tackles every week. He will be a bit sack dependent here, which the division they're in, he should be able to put up points every week. And Edgerrin Cooper, who has been the disappointment, has the higher tackle floor. Could be Jalen Phillips here. I do think in that division, Commanders, Giants, Cowboys, yeah, he's going to get more sacks there. Some of these divisional games, Fangio knows how to use him. He's still going to get a few tackles, 2 or 3 tackles at least. Let's go with Phillips here. So good luck, Bruce. And that is pretty much it this week, guys. Sorry can't get to everybody. A little slower by myself too. We'll have Ricky back next week. Again, you can follow him at RickyRod66. You can follow me at Shawn8386. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Good luck today. Ricky, be kind to one another. All his fun stuff. I didn't do enough hand motions. I feel like I should have maybe slapped the bar, here once or twice more. So I look forward to having Ricky back. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Good luck today, guys. I will see y'all next weekend.